that actually read the schedule. That's good. It's kind of like when they do the change of time, you know, in the spring or the fall. The people that show up at church, I always tell them, I congratulate them. You're the smart ones. You know, you're the ones that made the adjustment. You know, I tell you, good to see everybody here. Good. Now, I know you're just waking up, getting breakfast, and everything, and but that's the way it is with conferences. We had a great night last night, a great day. I know many of you have been very kind, sharing about the good things happening in different classes, and I'm really excited about what's about to happen in this room, because last year I recruited Larry Garrett. I mean, I had to beg, borrow, steal to get him down here, but I got him here, and Larry Garrett came down and just blew the roof off last year, and I don't want to build him up too much, but he did get the highest evaluations out of all the presenters at the conference last year. And so I said to Larry this year, I said, I'd like to put you on Saturday morning at the very beginning, and we don't really have an official keynote here, but basically we're not having the other classes until 10, with one exception, and so that really is like the keynote. And the only reason the other class is going, he needed 2 hours, so I pushed him into the early hour. But this is going to be a great experience. Larry's been a good friend of mine for a number of years. He's always been so generous, and he's always been willing to share about his practice, his experiences, and he's been invaluable to me. He and I have some things in common. He started out doing some stage hypnosis years ago. Isn't that right, Larry?
That's right.
Yeah. So he doesn't think I'm weird to do stage shows. But both Larry and I really started out doing clinical, but started doing stage because we found out you could. It was fun. There was money in it. And then Larry also has been influenced by the group that's currently called the American Academy of Hypnoanalysis, because it was started by medical doctors, and they actually do hypnosis, but they do it using electronics. So you have headphones, which I use in my office, Larry uses in his office, and we have that in common. And I've always enjoyed Larry's articles in the National Guild of Hypnotists Journal on electronic hypnosis. As a matter of fact, the first time I actually got to meet Larry in person was I went to the Mid-American Hypnosis Conference with Carm. Wave Carm. Carm runs the Mid-American Hypnosis Conference. You want to find out about that one, go see Carm. But it was the first year I went to the Mid-American Hypnosis Conference in 2003, and they have a really nice, they really do some things nice there. They have a really nice banquet. And in walks Larry Garrett with a very nice outfit, and he looked great. I think it was a tuxedo, actually. It looked great. I mean, he looked great. And I went, that's Larry Garrett. I read his article, so I made a beeline over his table. And he was so gracious, and he just said, hey, he says, are you in town this week? I said, yeah. He said, would you like to come over tomorrow and see my office? And I thought, how generous. And so he took me to his office. And his office in and of itself is an amazing story. But I'm just so delighted you're going to get to meet and know Larry Garrett, because I told Larry last year when I was trying to get him to come down here, I said, Larry, I know you go to National Guild of Hypnotists, I know you go to Mid-America, but there's a whole group of people out there, they need to know your story, because it is a unique story, and I'm really excited that Larry's here. Larry, thank you very much for coming. My pleasure. Thank
you. Somebody's got to bless me. After that introduction, I'm finished. Thank you, William. I knew if William introduced me, he'd probably take over the show, and he'd probably tell him everything I was going to tell him. I'm excited to be here. I really am. And William chose the titles. Obviously, you know, he's in charge. But he reminds me of this thing that my son used to watch on Sesame Street, and it was Thomas the Train. You remember Thomas the Train? Yes. And it was the train that could. And that's what I've watched William do. You know, he just introduced my good friend Carm in the back, and Carm has been chairing the Mid-America Hypnosis Conference for 29 years.
Well, 35th year this time.
35th?
I've been chairman for 21 though.
Okay. And that's always exciting, and that's my home. My home is in Chicago, and so Carm has this conference that I go to every year. And here's the great story I want to share with you. I've been doing hypnosis conferences since 1974. And I think part of what my presentation is going to be that William asked me to do is kind of share with you, if you're new to hypnosis, great. I'm here to help you become as successful as you can. And if you've been doing hypnosis for a long time, you'll probably get bored with some of the things I have to say, because I'm just going to share with you who I am. And I really don't have anything to tell you that you probably don't know, other than in some way inspiring you. But my first conference that I went to was 1974, and they wouldn't let me in. Excuse me. They said, we don't let people like you in here. And I didn't know for sure what that meant, people like me. Well, at that time, as William said, I was doing stage hypnosis a lot. And what they were really saying was they didn't agree with some of my values. Hypnosis was so different then. hypnosis was closed, it was resisting, and I just met Scott and his mom, Kim. And it brings me right into what I want to speak about today, and the excitement of what I want to speak about is how I started in hypnosis, and how I really started as I was interested in astrology. I went to an astrologer's meeting in Park Ridge, Illinois, and there was a hypnotist there, and I said, yeah, this is a crock, this stuff will never work, and he probably picked up on me. His name was Fred Chavo, and he was my first instructor. He probably picked up that I was skeptical. You know, as hypnotists, we always know the person that says, you can't hypnotize me. I say, that's a good subject, use that one, that's good. He'll be the best for your stage show if you do stage hypnosis. And so he did, he picked up on me like that. And I went, he invited me to come to his class as a guest. I said, okay, I'll go there and prove him wrong. And I always remember the first time I was hypnotized. You know, hypnosis was so different then, just night and day. One is that we didn't talk about hypnosis for improving one's life, like quitting smoking, losing weight, having more confidence. We spoke about hypnosis, about past life regressions and mind travel and in-body readings and things of that type. That was hypnosis. And so he hypnotized me, and I didn't know I was hypnotized. And he says, okay, when you open your eyes, you won't be able to say your first name. And I said, oh, watch this, you know, if you've been hypnotized, watch this. I can, when he opened my eyes, I'll say it. And I open my eyes, and he walks away. You know, nobody wants somebody to walk away from them, right? Wait, come back is what I wanted to say. Ask me my name. About 20 minutes later, he came back, and he says, oh, by the way, what's your name? And I said, my name. Nothing came out. So as nothing came out, I thought, wait, I could do this. And the students in the class, there were about 20 people then, they were laughing and laughing. And the more I tried to say it, the more they'd laugh. So that was part of it. That just sort of excited me of what's the potential here. But here's the real exciting part. At that time, I was a pretty neurotic individual. I had severe anxiety. I had a lot of physical anxiety disorders. I had severe bleeding ulcers. I would tremor. I smoked a lot, I bit my nails, I stuttered, and I was on about 6 medications a day at that time. And for the next 3 days after that little excursion of being hypnotized for 10 minutes of that, I kept thinking something was wrong because nothing was wrong. I wasn't nervous, I didn't feel like smoking, my hands weren't tremoring, excuse me, and all of a sudden I felt like something was changing. I'm looking for a cough drop, excuse me. I felt like something was changing in me, but I didn't know what was changing. At that time I was married, not now, because at that time hypnosis became the other woman, I always say. I became obsessed with hypnosis, became obsessed with it, and because something was changing. I had 6 medications a day, they weren't helping, so something was going on that all of a sudden I felt okay. I thought something was wrong because nothing was wrong. And the feeling inside of me was so powerful. And I remember my wife saying to my mother, you know what he's wasting his money on now? He's taking hypnosis classes. This is at a time when hypnosis wasn't as accepted as it is now. There weren't conferences yet. There was a hypnosis group in Chicago called the Association to Advance Ethical Hypnosis, the AEH. Biggest group in the world. They had 700 members, about 40 chapters. They have 1 chapter now, and they call it the Forum or Association. Don Hood, are you in here? Okay. Don Hood is the president of that group, and they call it the former AEH. But it was the biggest around. So I came to a meeting with a group about this size, and I was with my mother. And so when I met Scott, I met his mom, and they're both hypnotists, and so is her sister, Bonnie.
And Jenny.
And Jenny, okay. All of you are hypnotists. Wonderful. So my mom started getting real excited because I was feeling better. For about 8 years, I was a pretty sick individual. And so all of a sudden, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling better, and my mom's saying, what's going on here? You know, he's taking these classes, he's feeling better. So she began to take the classes. So this leads me into how I think my success manifested into a very powerful direction. One is, we were at this group, like here, like Kim and Scott sitting next to each other. And I'm, like Scott, I was a little older, I was 26. And I'm looking around, looking around all these hypnotists. By the way, at that time, they all wore ties. And they just said to me this morning, you going to wear a tie? I said, yeah, I have to look impressive. I seldom wear ties. I think it's the first time I've worn a tie in probably a year. The last one was a funeral. But I'm going to take it off this afternoon so I'll be more relaxed. Come on and join us. Thank you. And where was I? Talking about being in this hypnosis group. So I'm looking around, and all these hypnotists have ties on and white shirts and suits, and they all have this kind of tight look, and I'm thinking to myself, look at these people. By the way, there were no women in the hypnosis group. None. I think there was one. Wasn't there a Carmen? Who was that? She passed away Arlington Heights.
Blonde, I don't.
Blonde. All you remember is blondes. That's all. If you are on Carmen's email list, you will get blonde jokes. Do you remember, Don, who she is?
I'm trying to remember.
Okay. It'll come back. That was the only woman. And then we had Diana Barrar. Diana Barrar is still doing hypnosis. Been doing hypnosis since 1971. We worked together for about 20 years. And Diana's, I think she's probably about 72 now, and she still does hypnosis full time. I just spoke to her yesterday. And so going back to this group, so it's all men, and they all hate me. Not really, but I thought they did, because I hated me. So how could they not hate me? If I hated me, they hate me. And I'm looking around, and my mother leaned over, and she whispered to me words that have stuck in my mind till this day. She said, don't compete with these people, you'll lose. Just be the best Larry Garrett you can. Yes, it was so significant. It still rings in me, because to this day, unless you say to me, would you look on my website, Larry, and see what you think? I probably won't look on your website. I refuse and I refrain from competing because I don't know who you are. I picture two runners, and they're running along in this track meet, and I'm in front, and I look back, and I see this guy's catching up to me. What do?
Slow down.
I probably slow down, because he's going to pass me now. I can feel it. He's coming closer. He's going to pass me, and all of a sudden I lose. So if you are the best that you can be, I am just the best Larry Garrett I can be, nobody else. I brought a bunch of notes here, but I haven't got time to read them. I've never used a script or notes. I could use a PowerPoint, but I told William I'm half Italian, so I use my hands to kind of describe things. But I wanted to share with you that introduction to me, from me, of how I got into hypnosis, so I could share with you what happened after that. I remember I was so excited to do hypnosis. I've met a couple of people here this morning that I haven't met before, and I asked questions about how did you start, who trained you, where'd you come from. I suppose many of you were trained by William Mitchell, and some of you maybe have trained somewhere else. It doesn't matter. The real issue is, what are you going to do with what you now have inside of you? This is a spiritual direction, hypnosis. This is not about learning a structure. Hypnosis to me is like an art. Some people like watercolor, some people like oil, some people like pastels, some people like bright colors, some people like big eyes. The real issue is, you are the artist. What you do is good. But I have a recommendation for you that will cause you to have great success. Do I have great success? I don't know what that means. I have a value system inside of me that says, I choose not to count. If I count, then I always know what I don't have. You ever know that one? If I say, oh, I need $800 and I only have $6, I'm in trouble. I feel poverty at that moment. But if I choose not to count and I just trust, then everything's okay. So as we sit here as hypnotists today, whatever areas of hypnosis you're in, I would like all of you right now to think of something, somebody, some experience that you trust. Right now as I'm speaking, just feel it for a moment. Get inside. Some people say, well, I don't trust anything. One person told me the other day, I trust I'm going to wake up tomorrow. If you don't get hit by a car. But let's go for a moment. Be with me. Just think of something inside of you that you feel trust with, unconditional trust. Now as you hold that feeling for a moment, memorize that feeling. Just memorize it. Now think in your mind, what is there that you cannot do if you're holding that feeling? The world is yours. I like that smile. What's your name?
I'm Truett.
Truett. That's a nice smile, Truett. What did you just come up with an answer for?
It was when I got my black belt.
Okay, good. All right. And what did you smile with when I said, think of what you could not do with that feeling? Think of what you could do with that feeling. Anything. So, William was attempting to explain how I acquired the office I have now. When I first met William, as he shared so graciously, I said, come and visit me. And I offered that invitation to everybody. My good friend Carm back there helped me build this dream. And the dream was just nothing more than I run my life by trust from my mother. My mother just would always tell me these values. You know, I was raised by a very bigoted Italian grandmother and a very open-minded, progressive mother. Figure that. I don't know where that came from. So I had a mixture of both. So this trust issue that I have is I have these words for my values. Trust and allow. So trusting, to me, means that everything's going to be okay. And you always have these phrases given to you or from you. Well, what if it doesn't work tomorrow? What if they're late? What if I can't make it? What if I don't get any clients? Where'd you get all those what ifs from? Who gave you all these what ifs? My feelings are that everything works. I'm going to go back in time to maybe the 70s. I still have clients that come and see me from the 70s. I have a few women who come to see me from, I'd say, middle 70s. I think most of the men are dead.